Venezuela. Can you tell us more about why the airspace above Venezuela should be considered closed?
Because we consider Venezuela to be not a very friendly country. They sent millions of people, really, and probably a number in excess of that. And a lot of those people shouldn't be in our country, from jails, from gangs, from drug dealers, from all of the people that came into our country shouldn't have been in our country, causing a lot of problem.
Does your warning
and drugs.
Does your warning mean that an airstrike is imminent, or should we not read it that way?
Don't read anything into it.
The New York Times reported that you had a phone call with Maduro. Did you?
I don't want to comment on it. The answer is yes.
And can you tell us a little bit
No,
about
I can't
it?
do that.
Mr.
Would you say it went well?
I wouldn't say it went well or badly.
Shalom.
A phone call.
All praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakor Kodash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, bishops at Great Millstone. Shalom to the hopeful elect. All right, so Trump reportedly gave Maduro an ultimatum to relinquish power in Venezuela. All right, so you have Nero 47 now, all right, trying to take Maduro out of power. And we know that the reason that he's trying to do so is to get someone in there who will abide by, the rule of Babylon. All right, they've ran this play many times. You'll see a leader who, isn't willing to relinquish power, isn't willing to play by the rules of Babylon. And, they usually are attacked and taken out of power, as we see Babylon trying to do so now with Maduro over there in Venezuela. This goes into, his look being more stout than his fellows. All right. He's a proud man who can't stay at home. This place wants to rule everything. And, there's always an underlying play, which it's the control over the natural resources of these lands, which we know that Venezuela is sitting on a lot of oil. And, they'll mask it, with, we want to keep the drugs out. It's cocaine. We got the cocaine coming in, fentanyl, or whatever have you, which, that's just, once again, to mask the play, put a veil over their true intentions. But, we know through the spirit what it is. Says U.S. president sent a blunt message to his South American counterpart, sources say. Donald Trump reportedly gave Nicolas Maduro an ultimatum to relinquish power immediately during their recent call, but Venezuela's authoritarian leader declined, demanding a global amnesty for himself and allies. All right, so when somebody gives you an ultimatum, it's either this or that. You're going to do this or this going to happen. You're going to do that or that going to happen, And he's asking for this global amnesty for himself and his allies. And what Nero 47 isn't taking into account is that Russia and China have business interests in Venezuela, and they're not going to let you mess their money up. They do a lot of deals with each other. And, I believe that, the main mission of this attack on Venezuela is to get, of course, the control over the oil and to become the plug for China and Russia. Because if they take over that land and that natural resource, now Russia and China would have to buy said resources from Babylon instead of the leader of Venezuela, which is Maduro. So, once again, they are jockeying for position. Man, the nations is greedy, But it says on Sunday, the U.S. president confirmed the call had taken place, telling reporters, I wouldn't say it went well or badly. It was a phone call, and Maduro seems to be standing, 10 toes down as far as, bucking against them and not allowing them to bully them as a nation and to bully them out of those natural resources. And once again, America already has somebody lined up. If they trying to get this man out of power, somebody they know that they can put over there in power and control. Says neither the U.S. nor Venezuelan government have offered further details of the topics discussed during the highly unusual conversation, which is thought to have happened on the 21st of November. But sources told the Miami Herald the U.S. president has sent a blunt message to his South American counterpart, who is the focus of the 4-month pressure campaign in which Trump has ordered a massive naval deployment off Venezuela's northern coast. You can save yourself and those closest to you, but you must leave the country now, Trump reportedly said, offering safe passage for Maduro, his wife, and his son, only if he agreed to resign right away. However, Venezuela's president reportedly refused to step down immediately and allegedly made a series of counterdemands, including worldwide immunity from prosecution and being allowed to cede political control but keep control of armed forces. The newspaper said there had been no further direct contact between Trump and Maduro, although Maduro reportedly requested a second call last weekend after Trump declared Venezuela's airspace closed in its entirety. The Maduro government received no response, the Miami Herald claimed, saying the first discussion had been brokered by Brazil, Qatar, and Turkey. Despite the leaked claim that Trump had given Maduro an ultimatum, many observers are skeptical. The U.S. president intends to back those threats up with a large-scale military action. He enlarges his desire as hell, as I'm going to get into the scriptures as well. Maduro and most of his cohorts view the U.S. military threats as a bluff. A source with regular contact with top Venezuela officials told the Wall Street Journal last month. Since his election in 2013, the Venezuelan leader has survived a succession of crises, including Trump's first term, maximum pressure campaign, several rounds of mass protests, a historic economic meltdown, a 2018 assassination attempt, and apparent defeat in last year's presidential election, which Maduro is widely believed to have lost to the former diplomat Edmundo Gonzalez. On Sunday, the Wall Street Journal urged Trump's administration to continue ramping up the pressure on Venezuela and said it believed disposing Maduro is in the U.S. national interest, because he won't play ball with them. If it's a leader over there that they can't control, they attack him. I know, depending on how old you are, if you remember, what's my man, Bin Laden, the other dude, Salakia, his name slipped my mind. I could see his face. Big mustache dude, Salakia, but he was a leader over there in the Middle East that they had done business with. George Sr., Bush Sr. had done business with him, and as soon as he didn't want to play by their rules no more, they created this war on terror, just as the war on these Venezuelan drugs has been created to get the people to back him and to ultimately attack and knock him out of power. All right. I think it's Saddam Hussein. Pardon me, but I think it's Saddam Hussein, I'm pretty sure. Its editorial board said if Maduro refuses to leave and Trump shrinks from acting to dispose him, Trump and the credibility of the U.S. will be the losers. In an attempt to find a peaceful solution, Colombia's president, Gustavo Petro, offered the Colombian city of Cartagena as a possible location for talks between Maduro's regime and Venezuela's opposition. In a letter to the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries that was published by Venezuelan state media on Sunday, Maduro accused the U.S. of seeking to appropriate Venezuela's vast oil reserves, the largest on the planet, through the lethal use of military force. There you go right there. It's always a play for natural resources, man. So all you crazy fools out there that believe, oh, we getting rid of the drugs, it's too much cocaine. You know what I mean? It's fentanyl, weed, whatever have you, man. It's all a smoke screen. Because in fact, they are, as Maduro said, he accused the U.S. of seeking to appropriate Venezuela's vast oil reserves, the largest on the planet. Now, if they get control of that oil reserve or that oil, they become the plug for China and Russia, which will give them more power in international trade. And you see, as we know about the BRICS nations, the BRICS nations is trying to X America out of international trade or X the dollar out, anyway. So that's why you see Vlad Putin over there, Xi Jinping over there. They got a military presence over there because they don't want America to ultimately take control of this oil, because then they would have to answer to America in international trade. And as I mentioned, the BRICS nations, that's what they're trying to avoid. All right. But hopping to Habakkuk 2 and 5, yeah, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home. All right, neither keepeth at home. That's why you have American military bases all over the world. They're always invading somebody's land, stealing natural resources. All right, no matter what the smoke screen may be that they put in their media, on their fluff news, it's always an attempt to gain some type of power and international trade, or make some type of money, or have some type of control over some natural resource. All right, it says, who enlargeth his desire is hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, because they will bleed you. They bleed you dry as far as taking your natural resources, man. All right, he enlarges his desire as hell. And is as death. Everywhere he go, everywhere he touch down, mass death happens. All right. And cannot be satisfied, but gather unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. All right. A part of him gathering the nations and heaping all people unto him is having control over their governments. Once again, if they kick a leader out, they got somebody lined up that's going to do what they say. That's why the wine that's mentioned has, the nations are drunk off that wine, off that American philosophy, because once America touched down, they're going to build a McDonald's, your women going to be out of order, alternative lifestyle is going to be presented to the people. They're going to totally destroy your nation. All right. It says, shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his? How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. All right. Woe unto him that increaseth that which is not his. All right. Land, natural resources. This is Esau living by the sword. Scriptures say, by thy sword shalt thou live. That's his survival tactic. All right. And this is how he, of course, survives and dominates the nations. By increasing that which is not his. Everything he has, he stole. All right. And the nations are going to say, how long? And you see who's leading that charge? Russia, China. They're sick of this place. And they got big guns, big missiles to compete with this place as far as militarily. All right. And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay, debt, shall they shall, verse 7, shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booties unto them, booties being spoils of war. If you remember them old pirate cartoons where you say the booties is just gold and things like that, whatever they stole off their enemy. All right. And America is going to turn, these nations are going to start to feast on this place and eventually destroy it. says, because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee, because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land, of the city, and of all that dwell therein. All right, because of because thou hast spoiled many nations. All right, this goes back to him being a proud man that can't keep it at home. This is what he does, and it ain't no damn old theory or conspiracy theory. Crazy, go look at it. Look at the history of this place, man. From the jump, from its inception, it's all rape, rob, murder. Whatever nation he comes in contact with, he spoiled them. And, the Israelites, all right, are described in the scriptures as a nation robbed and what? Spoiled. By who? That's your man, Esau, doing this. Okay? So it ain't no conspiracy theory. If one more person call me a conspiracy theorist, I'm about to swing on you, man. Conspiracy theory. Food is all it's in his history books. You know what I'm saying? They tongue fall upon themselves, Verse 9, woe to him that coveteth an evil covetousness to his house, that he may set his nest on high, that he may be delivered from the power of evil. All right, so his covetousness, meaning his jealousy of what the other nations have, him having that jealousy and acting on it in a warlike manner. Thou shalt live by the sword. Okay. It's how he set his nest on high. That's the only reason this place is functioning, because of rape, rob, murder. All right. But I'm going to get it in the NLT. I'm going to go through this pretty fast. Habakkuk 2 and 5. Once again, this is in the NLT. Wealth is treacherous, and the arrogant are never at rest. They open their mouths as wide as the grave, and like death, they are never satisfied. In their greed, they have gathered up many nations and swallowed many people. Who else could this be? What other nation of people could this be characterizing? It's a process of elimination, man. All right. It says, but soon their captives will taunt them. They will mock them, saying, what sorrow awaits you thieves? All right. And you see that with the presentation of nuclear missiles. All right. Basically telling them, we gonna if y'all want to take it there, we can take it there. As I really speak on China and Russia being the major players for its nuclear capability. It says, now you will get what you deserve. You've become rich by extortion, but how much longer can this go on? You see that energy amongst the nations, especially with my man, Vladimir Putin. He be talking big shit about America, man. I always reference the summer of 2024 because he was on a rampage in 224, man. Just talking about America, the West this, the West that. We don't like the West. The West do this. Why the West over there doing that? We gonna get with the West. Basically, is what he was saying, man. And what he's continued to say since then, So when it say, now you will get what you deserve, these nations is itching to get this place, but prophecy has to pass, as we know. The MOTB has to be made mandatory, as we know. And then it's going to be on. It says, suddenly your debtors will take action. Yeah, going back to that thick clay. Because that's another way that they strangle the nations. They put them in debt. Slap them with sanctions. Tariffs. Suddenly your debtors will take action. They will turn on you and take all you have, while you stand trembling and helpless. Even the men of thy confederacy, have damn, hold on. I don't want to butcher it. Salakia. That is Obadiah. That is. Yeah, Obadiah 1 and 7. All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There's no understanding in them. All right, all the men of that confederacy, all the folk or all the nations you being in league with, if I'm being confederate or someone is being in league with them, you know. So they all gonna turn on you, even the damn old your enemies and the damn your allies is gonna turn on you as well. Pardon me, I'm gonna get that in the NLT too. Yeah, Obadiah 1:7 in the NLT. All your allies will turn against you. They will help to chase you from your land. They will promise you peace while plotting to deceive and destroy you. Your trusted friends will set traps for you, and you won't even know about it. All right, because America, is look being more stout than its fellows. I think that they can't be touched. So that's why they're totally oblivious. Well, maybe not oblivious, but they don't really sincerely consider the fact that they're not as far ahead of these other nations militarily as they think they are. All right. But going back to Habakkuk 2:7 in the NLT, suddenly your debtors will take actions. They will turn on you and take all you have while you stand trembling and helpless. Because you have plundered many nations. Now all the survivors will plunder you. You committed murder throughout the countryside and filled the towns with violence. What sorrow awaits you who build big houses with money gained dishonestly? All right. Which that money, is not necessarily what you know is money, paper money, coins. All right. Money is land. And this is what they steal. Money is resources. And this is what they steal. So, who else could this be talking about, man? All right. What sorrow awaits you who build big houses with money gained dishonestly? You believe your wealth will buy security, putting your family's nest beyond the reach of danger, and it won't. Because although on a fleshly level, your enemies is Russia, China, and will ultimately be the whole world, who is really coming for you is Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shah. And ain't no war that can be waged against Heavenly Father. But I ain't gonna hold you. I hope that video was edifying. Shalom.